good shot. Oh my!
You can celebrate Georgetown! The Georgetown Raiders are Buckland Cup champions!
The Trenton Golden Hawks, the R.W. Cup champions, are going to Coburn.
Back to Minerva. Shot scores! And the Coburn Cougars are the Royal Bank Cup champions!
Evans bumping, they score! Frank Poche, the game winner, and the Buckland Cup winner!
This is the OJ Today. Welcome, everybody, and happy holidays. I'm Alex Bastiavansky, and something a little different here for the holiday break. We're going to do sort of a mid-season holiday review of all the teams in the OJHL and what's gone on so far. And to help me discuss the Northwest Conference, Alan Corkum back on the show once again. Alan, welcome back, my friend.
Thanks for having me, Alex. Appreciate it.
We're going to start in the North Division, and Aurora still leading the way, but their lead has been really cut into recently by Markham and Newmarket. What's going on with the Tigers, in your opinion?
Well, it just seems like the other teams in the North maybe have caught up to what was going on with the Tigers early in the season. They did a coaching change back in mid-November. Mario Chiquillo had to step down for personal reasons. In came Rob Fulvis. And it seems from that point on, the Tigers have struggled a little bit, maybe trying to get a new identity under their new coach. But one player that certainly hasn't struggled is Joseph Mizzi, who's one of the top scorers in the league. He's been doing great for the Tigers. Just seems like all the other teams have been really chasing Aurora, like Newmarket and Markham just below them. So Aurora better get back to what they were doing early in the season if they want to catch up and maybe win the division title.
Yeah, and of course, all of our, our best wishes go out to Mario Chiquillo, who's just a stand-up guy. Great guy, Mario. We're wishing you well. Newmarket, let's move on to them now. Making a serious run lately. Included there is a stretch where they won 5 straight, one of their best runs of the year. What have you seen from the Canes so far?
Well, I've seen a lot of fight. I know early in the season they were having a struggle to get consistent. They were losing a game, winning a game, so it was like a 500 team. But now they've been starting to string some wins together. They've been led by Adam Trotman, who's been doing great on the offensive end, as well as Claudio de Gasperis. They've been both on fire in the offensive end. And one of the keys to this team, I think, has been the goaltending of Mitchell Weeks, who's committed to next year going to the Sudbury Wolves, and he has been great. An under 2 goals against average. He's been shining most nights for the Hurricanes. And he always gives them a chance to win, even the nights that he maybe just come up a little bit short, the Hurricanes do. He always gives them a chance to win, and that's all you can ask for a goaltender. And it seems like the coaching staff and the players see what he's doing, and they strive off that.
Markham, another squad that's really upped its game recently, have also cut into Aurora's lead, as mentioned. Definitely got the offensive chops. Case in point, an 11-1 massacre of Pickering back on December 16th.
Yeah, that was a bit of a shocking game to see Markham. They've been sometimes struggling to score this year, but not in this game. Really leading by example. You get Braden Aubin, Alessio Luciani have been just on fire at 40-plus points each this year for the Markham Royals. And seems like they're starting to get consistent under Mike Galati, starting to find the right rhythm with that team, the right lineup. And the one key, I think, to this team was the acquisition of goaltender Andrew Albano coming from Stouffville. He seemed to not be able to find his place in Stouffville, was struggling there, but has come over to Markham and just been lights out for the Royals. We saw a couple weeks ago, Alex, up in Georgetown, he made that great save, and it seems like he's
save of the year so far, I think, anyway. And you called it that night, too, possibly the save of the year. Definitely amazing goaltending by Albano. Those Panthers were expected to make some noise this year up in Pickering after a great bounce-back season last year. Hasn't happened, though. What's your take on what's going on with the Cats?
Well, as they say, the Panthers haven't been purring out of the gate for sure, Alex. Their scoring has been struggling. They haven't been able to find their rhythm with the scoring touch. Their leading scorer only has around 20-plus points just below that, and that's Adam Wheaton. So they haven't been able to get the right guys in scoring. They do have a steady defenseman in the back end, though. That's Dustin McFall, the Boston Bruins draft pick. He's been doing great for them in the back end, but he just can't do everything offensively, that's for sure, for the Panthers. And it just seems like they weren't able to build up that strong end to last season, and in that 7-game series where they almost upset the Buckland Cup champion Wellington Dukes in the first round. Maybe the Panthers will come on here in the new year. We'll have to see, but right now they're holding down that 4th and final playoff position. We'll have to see what happens.
McFall, getting him back in the lineup, though, as you mentioned, the Bruins draft pick. Big get for the Pickering Panthers, wasn't it? You don't often see players able to come back into the OJ after being drafted, but it's huge having him in the lineup, isn't it?
Oh, for sure, Alex. I saw him play up close a couple of times for your TV in Oakville, and he was a great center that night, trying to keep his Panthers in against that hot Blade squad. And he's a stay-at-home defenseman. You see most times defensemen like McFall maybe go to the USHL or the college route before going to Boston, but he came back to the Pickering Panthers, and it's been a bonus for them.
Finally, it's been a struggle for the Stouffville Spirit so far this season, to put it kindly. Last place in the division, NHL draft prospect, though, Costa Manikas, who's very highly thought of by the scouts. One bright spot for the Spirit so far.
Yeah, Manikas has been doing great for the Spirit. The team has actually been coming on just before around the holiday season. They had a couple of wins against Pickering, a couple of upset wins against Aurora, too. So maybe the Spirit will make some noise here in the new year and see what happens. But yeah, Manikas has been great, as well as their captain, Connor May, the son of the former NHLer Brad May, did a great job as a captain for the Spirit. But yeah, it's going to be an uphill climb, though, for the Spirit to get back in the playoff race in the North Division. But you never know with these young players. They have nothing to lose. They're playing loosey-goosey, as they say. They might surprise a few teams in the new year, and you never know what could happen. You just get into the dance, and that's all you need to do. And Spirit has some young players. We'll see what happens in the last couple of weeks of the season.
Yep, and they've got some big wins over some powerful teams, so they do have the power to surprise the Stouffville Spirit. That's awesome. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to talk about what's happened so far in the West Division. So more OJ today. Coming up in just a moment.
Now it's Manikas. Take a shot, blocked by Morel. He felt that one. There's a shot and a goal! Put in by Kenny Stiles. Power play goal, and it's 2-1. Spirit within a goal.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the OJ. Today we continue to do our mid-season holiday review of all the teams in the OJ. We move to the West Division now, and Alan Corkum is back, OJ broadcaster, doing a review with me here. Alan, Oakville running away with the West Division. They've been placed as high as #1 in the national rankings fairly recently. Virtually a flawless campaign to this point, and especially on home ice. They've lost just a single game so far, and that was in overtime. Great season for the Blades so far.
Yeah, they've been definitely built to play on the big Olympic-sized ice of the 16 Mile Sports Complex in Oakville. They have 14 players with 10 or more points, and 8 of those have 20 or more points. So you can see they've been scoring in bunches this year. Lots of fast players like Spencer Kirsten, who made Team Canada East at the recent World Junior A Challenge, Thomas Maya, Harrison Israels, Kyle Potts, Garrett Pike, just to name a few. And the rich just got richer here recently. They acquired another speedy sniper, Josh Nixon, from the Georgetown Raiders. And he's come in and fit like a glove for Mike Tarantino and his team. And yeah, I don't see no signs of stopping for this Blades squad. And they have 2 strong goalies as well, Will Barber and Chris Elliott. Either of them could come in any given night and do the job for the Blades.
Buffalo. A team that, to quote the great Rodney Dangerfield, can't get no respect, it seems like. They get overlooked, it seems. Maybe it's because they're the lone American team in the league, but second place in the West. They've racked up a great record so far. Them and Oakville have clearly separated themselves, you could say, from the rest of the pack in the division to this point.
Probably been the only difference for Buffalo is the only team that can't seem to get over the hump is the Oakville Blades, but everybody else they're having very much success against. They're led by their veteran Adam Tredowitz, and a couple of youngsters as well have been doing the job for Buffalo this year. Ty Glover, who's also a teammate of Kirsten's at the recent Team Canada East for the World Junior A Challenge, and another player, Spencer Smith, are both having great seasons for Buffalo. And yes, the Sabres, we don't talk about them very much, but they always seem to give the teams fits when they come up to Canada. So maybe that's the way they like it with Mike Tuzolino and Nick Tuzolino, I should say, in his squad. Being under the radar because nobody expects anything from them and they'll come in surprise. So you better watch the Sabres squad come playoff time, especially if they have home ice for the first round.
Absolutely. They've just looked great. Burlington has picked up some quite really impressive wins this year. Most recently against Trenton just a couple of weeks ago, but 2 wins and a tie against the Blades, it has to be noted. The only team to beat Oakville twice this year, and that should have teams uneasy about a playoff matchup against the Cougars.
Yes, for sure. Burlington has been just doing great this season, especially at 2-0-1 against the Oakville Blades. I mean, who else can say that? The Blades are one of the top teams in the country, and it seems like Mark Juris and his squad are the kryptonite for the Oakville Blades. Yes, they've been led by Matt Steen. The reacquired Michael Bushey, who came over from the Toronto Patriots, has been good. Keenan Stewart has led the thing. The biggest key, I think, to Burlington has been they've lost both their goaltenders, Thomas Lalonde and Matt Dunsmore, to injury, and they've had some midget call-ups come in and do the job. They've had Warren Lament come in and get a couple of wins. Zachary Dietz has come in and upset Georgetown and even had a great game in a loss against the Raiders.
We saw
they're getting lots
of
great
weeks ago
efforts.
against Georgetown. Fantastic performance by the AP call-up in that game, yeah.
Yeah, and they're seeming like if anybody gets called up to play for Burlington, they always step into the shoes. The other night, a player just stepped in, a midget, had a couple of goals. So you never know what's going to happen for this Burlington squad. So I'd be scared of them to play them in the first round. So Buffalo better be worried if it's them, or especially if it's Oakville, because of the way Burlington has played against them this season.
Yeah, their depth proving to be a real asset so far. Brampton has been one of the most entertaining squads in the league to watch, especially for myself doing highlights on this show. They always give me lots of goals, but hovering around the 500 mark, tons of offense on that team, as mentioned, but the loss of Hudson Lambert, who was, I believe, the second highest scoring defenseman in all the OJHL, and their leading scorer up to that point with the dreaded lower body injury, that's been a big blow for the Admirals, hasn't it?
Yeah, they seem to not be doing as well right now with Hudson Lambert out of the lineup, but they've been led by a couple of veterans. Vince Bonaiuto and Rocco Andriacci have been doing the job as much as they can for the Admirals, but yeah, they seem to be slipping down the standings going into the new year, but they still hold the playoff spot. That's the most important thing. Another player that has come back after being gone for a little bit, he was weighing his hockey future, but he decided to return to the Admirals, and it was good for them, is Daniel Berno, who's been averaging about a point a game for the Admirals. So if they can get those guys to get back on their game, and if Lambert can come back from injury before the playoffs begin, then the Admirals will probably be a threat in the postseason.
A transitional year for the Georgetown Raiders as they build for the future, and it's kind of funny because Coach GM Scott McCrory unloads veterans Hampton, McVeigh, and Nixon, and the team goes on their best run of the season, winning 5 straight. You do play-by-play for Georgetown. What have you seen from them?
Just seems like the new blood has reignited the Raiders for sure. They had that winning streak, and the two players that have come in from those trades, Grant Spence came from the North York Rangers. He's been doing great for the Raiders, jumping on the top power play unit, the second line. He's looking pretty good as well. Thomas Hernandez, a defenseman, came over from Whitby for Derek McVeigh. He's been doing the job in the back end as well. But it seems like the veterans that remained with Georgetown have seemed to pick up their game since all these moves for Scott McCrory. Jordan Crocker's been on fire. Bailey Malella, you never heard much of early in the season, has been really on a tear going into the new year. So you have to watch out for the Raiders. Still going to be a battle for them to make the playoffs, but watch out.
And Matt McJanet as well has been playing a lot better. Alan, we got 50 seconds, not even. Brantford, great story this year. I don't care that they're in last place in the West. They've almost equaled their total of wins from the last 3 seasons combined. Really quick, give me a comment on Brantford.
Yeah, it's just great to see that they finally have a team that's competing for a playoff spot. They got Brian Zarowski, Trevor LeDun, a couple of players coming over from other teams that have done well for them. The only thing that might hurt is the goaltender. They lost Tristan Lennox back to the OHL Saginaw Spirit. They brought in Josh Graziano from the Brooks Bandits, so if he can get on fire, as he turn things around, he'll be getting for one of the last playoff spots. It's going to be a wild race in the West Division in the next 6 weeks when the season ends.
It is, and I want to thank you so much for filling in with all your fantastic commentary on this. Happy holidays, buddy, to you and your family.
Happy holidays to you, Alex, and all your viewers and everybody involved in the OJHL.
Excellent. More OJ Today coming up in just a moment.
Now it's Preston. Preston wide the shoot. Oh, and a struggle by Lennox, and then he makes the save. He does everything right now. That's Tristan Lennox.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the OJ Today as we continue on with our mid-season holiday review of the OJHL, every single team. We're going to check out the South Division now, and joining me once again, Mr. Kevin Dean, the play-by-play man extraordinaire for Aurora and Cobourg. KD, welcome back, buddy.
Hey, Alex, great to see you there, buddy. And it's hard to believe half the season's over with, and it's review time. It's
review time, yeah. You always know it's Christmas when it's review time, buddy. And we're going to start off in the South. The Rangers, they've been really, absolutely unreal so far, running away with the division. 13-game winning streak at one point. What have you liked about Jeff Schmogie's squad so far? Well,
they've been perennial favorite and top team in the CJHL this year. I look at their last 10 games, they're 6-3-1. They're putting it to everybody. I seen them against Coburg, and unbelievable the way they battle. And Harrison Rees on the back end, they like those home run passes, and you get Flack and Craig are in behind the D, and they're not, you can't stop them. So they're a team that they're going to be there. There's no doubt about it, and we'll see if the ownership will step up and maybe pick up a couple of players, because this team here stands a chance of winning the national championship. They're that solid.
They did.
And Hampton picked up.
Yeah,
good pick.
And they got a 4-game losing streak out of the way too. And coaches will always say it's best to get that done, earlier in the season as opposed to later. So they got that out of the way, and they're doing great. The JRCs, they've been getting stronger as the season's gone on. Jeff Angelidis has his boys playing extremely well right now, and Eric Ciccolini is looking tastier and tastier to NHL scouts with each passing day, leading the squad in goals and points as a 17-year-old.
He might be one of the best skaters that I've seen in the 5 years I've seen the OJHL. And when I was in Trenton, I had a chance to talk to one of the NHL scouts, and he loves his game. He says, watch this kid. He's got NHL speed. When he broke out of his own zone, he was just flying. He says he's just got to work on his own and around the boards and that. But this kid here could potentially play pro hockey. There's no doubt about it. But other than that, they got to pick up some scoring. I'm just looking at some of their stats. They're 14th in the league in scoring and 12 against. So they got to be better at that end if they want to come out of that South Division. And in all likelihood, they're going to be playing St. Mike's in the playoffs. And they just can't have it. The Ciccolini show. It's like that kid who used to play for Georgetown, Stephen Haladin, I think his name was. Yeah. And it was a one-line team, so they got to pick up some players to help out that kid.
Haladin had some monster years for Georgetown, no doubt about it. St. Mike's, one of the youngest squads in the league. I will fully admit I was expecting the Buzzers to do their usual thing, which is advance several players to the next level because they produce great talent. But I wasn't expecting them to be this competitive. They've gone well above the 500 level now and sitting third in the South Division.
Well, again, they're 6-4 in their last 10. They got 41 points, and this young lad, Jack Watson, 3 shutouts this year. And junior hockey, just to get 1 shutout, that's something. This kid's got 3, and he's an outstanding goaltender. And I like the kid there. He's 6'1", 194 pounds. He's a pure goal scorer. Colton Trumbull. Yes. And I've seen him a couple of times, and he is an outstanding hockey player, and he's a pure goal scorer. And I like St. Mike's. They're a young team, but JRC is going to have their hands full in the playoffs if they play them. They got a good team. Yeah, Searles and Trumbull, 2 guys leading the way there for St. Mike's, looking great so far. One team I would not want to face in the playoffs are the Toronto Patriots. Lost a ton of scoring last year when Andrew Petrucci, 50-goal man, left for the NCAA this year. But Dante Spagnuolo, really, he's taking his game to the next level and leading them in scoring. And they've been looking great, especially lately, wouldn't you say? Well, they got this coach, Mark Jocelyn. I seen them play again against Coburg there a couple of weeks ago. And some of the breakouts that they had out of their own zone was amazing. It was like NHL breakouts. And here was like 2 guys on they'd overload a wing, and there's 2 of their forwards breaking in, Spagnola, and behind the Coburg defense. And they're solid, the Coburg defense. And they're just a well-coached team. And they are the best 17-16 team that I've seen. And I've seen basically all the teams in the OJHL this year, and I put them in my top 5 teams. Watch out, North York. You're going to have your hands full. The playoffs come with the Patriots. They're going to be tough. Well, you mentioned when I had you on the show a couple of weeks ago, you thought that Kingston would walk past the Patriots if they happen to get a wild card matchup. Are you sort of taking that back a bit now? Do you like the Patriots that much better now? Well, the Patriots, they've been playing great hockey. And Kingston's been stumbling. Yeah. But watching them play a perennial powerhouse Coburg, and they went toe-to-toe with them, and just the way they were coached, the way their breakouts, the way they worked, the way they worked their power play, it was amazing. You think the puck had a string on it, and the Spagnola kid was unbelievable. Yeah, they're the real deal. I can't believe they're 17-16. They must have had some bad puck luck because they're the best 17-6 team I've seen in a long time. And Mercyhurst commits Spaniel. I believe it's Mercyhurst. But unfortunately, Mississauga sitting last place in the South. Very briefly, as a few weeks back, they climbed into 4th for a bit, but back in the basement now. Yeamans has been unreal. And again, a very dangerous team, despite being in last place. They've knocked off the Rangers twice this year. Well, they could be even though they might not make the playoffs, they're 9-19 on the year, but they've got the key players. they might be the one that's going to put a team over the top. You've got Yeamans, you've got this Kyle Lewis, and you got Durante on the goaltender. You got 3 players that other GMs around the league. Will Mississauga sell these players or trade these players? You got 3 studs on that team that could maybe make you win take you to a Buckland championship. I think it's January 10th, the trading deadline. Mississauga, if they're a seller, and probably they will be, whoever gets those 3 players could possibly win a championship. Those 3, he's a great hockey player, Yeamans. There's no doubt about it.
Fantastic. Oh, yeah, and he's got, to coin the old Brian Burke phrase, he's got a lot of truculence as well. He racks up the pims, not scared to get his nose dirty. That's it for the South, Kev. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the division near and dear to your heart, of course, as the broadcaster for the Cobourg Cougars, the East Division. More OJ today coming up in just a moment. Hey everybody, welcome back to the OJ Today. We continue on with our mid-season / holiday review here, and we're moving to the East now. And Kevin Dean, let's check out the Eastern Division, starting with your Cougars, the team you do play-by-play for. Neck and neck with Trenton for first place in the division. You got the best seat in the house for every home game. Jerome Dupont's boys have been doing great so far. What's been working for them?
Well, just a balanced attack. The Cougars, Jamie Engelbert and Riley McCutcheon play for Team Canada East. They will be back. Brock Welch is back. They pick up the stud Stechel back from a trade. They are loaded. I'm telling you right now, who are you going to stop? They are got and on the back end, you got Porter and you got Bumstead and great goaltending. Sean Stewart's been turning it up. I'll tell you, Cobourg is, and you know Jerome Dupont and Adam Yen, they've still got cards. They're going to make some trades. This team here, my opinion's coming out of the East.
Yeah, and Trenton has reemerged as a powerhouse this year. Of course, so much success up until just a couple of years ago last year. A little bit disappointing with the first-round playoff loss. But the Hawks did some retooling, and they're now right back up there battling for top spot in the division.
Well, they're 4-6 in their last 10, so they're struggling a bit. Stephen Elliott has been out. Hopefully he will be back. But they're a funny team. They get beat by Lindsay the other night, and then they just hammer JRC the other night, or last night. So they're a funny team. But again, you're looking at Thomas Millen. He preaches defense, and defense wins championships. So watch out for Trenton. And Trenton, they like to spend. And again, the trading deadline is coming up. You can bet your bottom dollar. They have some cards, and Thomas is going to – it's the Tiger McDonald and the Stephen Elliott. They got to get him back. They've been getting the goaltending. And again, with the fans in Trenton, they are always worth a goal. And so they are going to be tough. There's no doubt about it. They have played 36 games, 5 more than Cobourg. So they've got to keep rolling, do the Golden Hawks. But I'm sure, I know they're going to be there. No doubt about it.
Oh, absolutely. Whitby Fury right there as well at the top. Big win over Oakville recently as well. That certainly turned a few heads around the league. Rob Pearson, he's got this team playing like a well-oiled machine, Kevin.
Wow, you look at them, they're 6-4 in their last year, and you're right, a big win. And they have had Cobourg's number this year. And, Pearson's got his young lad in net's been dynamite. And it was Smith and the Bull Boys and Gallagher. And on the back end, DeMille, the defenseman. In my opinion, if Cobourg doesn't come out of the East Division, you're looking at the Whitby Fury. And it's sort of nice to see last year, I don't want to call them doormats. They came in last place. And to see them rise from the ashes and do what they're doing now and beating powerhouse teams, you got to give the Whitby organization and Pearson a lot of credit. And it's great to see. It really is. And they are the real deal. There's nothing. They're not nothing phony about them. They are the real deal, and they're going to be right there.
They are. John Druce and the Dukes within striking distance of the top out east. One thing that hasn't been a problem for Wellington is the offense, currently sitting 5th in the OJHL in goals scored. What are you liking about the Dukes?
Well, with Wellington, again, they've got the scoring and they've got, this goaltending. And Lafreniere, he is solid. There's no doubt about that. And the big key is Zach Ewens is back. He had an injury and he will be back. And he is, in my opinion, maybe the best defenseman in the OJHL. And this kid here going to go on to play college and play pro. His dad, Randy, played pro over in Europe. And talking about Randy, he is a wily old veteran. Look what they did last year. Some people say, it wasn't right. But listen, the rules are rules. They brought 4 players in. They were a period away from winning the national championship. So they have cards, and I know they do. Don Cotton and Randy Ewens and John Druce have been back-to-back to a national championship. Yeah. They might be right going to Brooks, Alberta again this year. They're a smart team, smart organization.
Those Junior B call-ups, they have an impact, no question about it. That's what happened last year. Kingston, things not too rosy right now. They dropped a few key matchups recently. They've fallen out of that crossover position. What's going on with the Vs right now, Kevin?
Well, I was in Wolf Island calling games yesterday. I swear I seen Adam Kim on the 4-1, had an SOS sign because he has been the main guy on the team. Other than that, you look at him, he's 20-goal scorer, but other than that, he's got twice as many points as the second guy, Sirius. So they're not scoring. And that's Peter Goulet's got to be upset over that. They're 19th in the league in scoring, 14th in the league in the power play. They're dead last in the penalty kill. They're 16th in the league giving up goals. I haven't seen a Kingston team like this in a long time. Peter Goulet picks up players out of Ottawa and Western Quebec. So again, don't count out the Voyageurs. He's a smart man. He was on the Team Canada coaching staff. He knows his hockey, and he's going to turn that team around.
A lot of work to do down the stretch, though. Finally, the Muskies, despite being last place in the standings out east, some great wins, including just recently shutting out Trenton. You keep warning teams not to sleep on the Fish, and they're proving you right.
Well, they're a funny team. They're only 2-8 in their last 10, but they're beating perennial powerhouse. They put it to Trenton the other night. And they had kids out that were injured. They're suspended when they got in the brawl, or they had that Donnybrook or whatever in Buffalo. So they had players out. But they're like Mississauga. They're a key team because they've got some players. They got Leaking, they got this Vandervine, and they've got, there's the other kid, Lund. They've got 3 key players that other teams could pick up and make a run in the playoffs. So will Lindsay give these players up? Will they be sellers come January 10th? We're going to see. But they could be a key for a Buckland Cup run, picking up these players out of Lindsay.
Absolutely. They could be a kingmaker down the stretch. We'll have to see. Listen, thanks so much, buddy. All the best to you and your family over the holidays. Merry Christmas, and we'll see you in the new year.
Hey, Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah, everybody, and get out to the local OJHL game, gang.
And that is all the time we've got for today. Thanks so much to Kevin Dean and Alan Corkin for helping me out with the midseason review. Happy holidays, everybody. All the best to you and your families. Just remember, you can always stay up to date with the league by heading to ojhl.ca. And, of course, all your social media information right there for you to check out as well. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next week.